Hello, my name is Phil from Radio.co and welcome. Hang on. Oh, that was a bad idea. As I was saying, my name is Phil and welcome to this webinar all about equipment, which, as you can see regarding the garb that I've got on here, is probably the scariest question you might be asking yourself about launching your own online radio station. What equipment do I need? Do I have a budget? Can I spend all of that? You know, I don't have much money, I have lots of money. There's lots of questions you may have about equipment, and hopefully this presentation here is going to go through some ideas of good basic equipment, some advanced equipment, some tips, and also some handy little accessories you may want to invest in to really bring out the best of your online radio station. Don't worry, the advice and guidance and help you're going to get out of this is worth a lot more than my costume here. It's, as you can see, looks like a bin bag. It was actually sold as a cape. So there we go, a nice little Halloween tip. Buy a bin bag, easy cape. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to go through a couple of different sets about what makes a good radio station easy to set up, quick, and sometimes, in most cases really, cheap to set up. As I said, what equipment do I need is undeniably one of the most popular questions I personally get asked on a day-to-day basis, whether that's through emails or through the demonstrations I do. So this should answer a couple of questions and should appeal to people who are perhaps more clued up in broadcasting. Maybe you're an industry vet coming from an FM studio looking to launch your own station, or maybe you're just a hobbyist, someone who has absolutely no idea what they're getting themselves into and they just want a little bit of advice. This will appeal to everybody. And on the note before about if you are coming from a broadcasting background, maybe you've hosted on commercial community stations, FM stations maybe, a lot of the equipment I'm going to show you is pretty much the same. The only difference is, of course, it's going to be plugging into your computer, not a studio computer. So I've got lots of things to go through with you, but what I'm going to start off with first is the basic equipment, or what I say, the least amount of equipment you want to invest in and get hold of. Unfortunately, it's not a lot at all. While remembered as well, if you do have any questions that you want to ask, then please send me an email, studio@radio.co. Some questions have been asked beforehand, so thank you very much for those that did contribute to that. And I'll be going through a few of those questions, about a half a dozen or so, if I can, at the end of this live demonstration. And if you do have any questions that I haven't answered at all to do with equipment or Radio.co in general, then yeah, please send me an email, studio@radio.co, and we'll help in whatever way we possibly can. Okay, so first of all, basic broadcasting. Now, what I tend to say to people is, when they say, what's the most basic, what's the least amount of equipment I possibly need to get started? The answer is what I've got in front of me here, or rather, this, really. As long as you've got a laptop that has an internet connection, funnily enough, you've got pretty much everything that you need to get started. You can use Windows or Mac with Radio.co in particular, and I imagine pretty much any other radio program. But yeah, our software works wonderfully well with both Windows and Mac. And again, another question people ask me about this is, do I need a really powerful computer? Well, the answer is no. The software is entirely cloud-based. So what that means for you is it doesn't rely on really aggressive computer power, really strong powers. Not at all. You just need an average, everyday Windows or Mac computer, and that will serve you wonderfully well. Because it's all cloud-based, it actually relies more on your internet and our servers that will actually power your station for you. So unlike a terrestrial station where you may need a computer to be on 24/7, that's not necessary here. We power your station for you. So the only time you actually need yours on is when you're uploading content, building shows, going live. So that's why we say a average powered computer will really, really serve you well. Windows or Mac, people ask about Chromebooks. In fact, someone asked me during a call today, can I use a Chromebook? The software itself does work pretty well with a Chromebook. One thing you may find, however, is that the encoder software, so something that actually requires you to install to broadcast live, as far as we're aware, there aren't really any encoders, any live broadcasters that are compatible with Chrome operating system. So that's why we always recommend going specifically with a Windows or Mac computer. But if you are using the software for automation, then you should be all right with a Chromebook regardless. So I have my Windows laptop here. Again, it's a bit more of a new one, but honestly, that's just because that's what I prefer. Everyday one, you know, one's for, I think we launched a station with one that cost us about 100 quid in the past. You know, that'll do, you know, really, honestly. An internet connection is what you'll want, but an internet connection, again, is only required for if you're uploading content or building shows or broadcasting live. If you are relying on us to automate the broadcasting of your station, then it's actually, because it's us powering your station, it's, you know, you actually don't need an internet connection at all. So the only time you need a stable internet connection is when you're accessing or listening to your station. So even then, just even a limited internet connection will still serve you well. Now that's for me just uploading content and building shows. That's all I need. But if I want to do some talk shows, maybe I just want to do a little bit of chatting on my station, what's the least amount of equipment I need? Well, I've got it right in front of me here. Well, not quite in front of me. I'm going to go onto this a little bit later. This, in fact, this is well, specifically, it's a Rode NT USB Mini. But what it is also is a USB-powered microphone. Now, these are really, really great. They plug straight into the computer and away they go. They don't require any mixing desks, any audio interfaces. Really, they don't require any additional equipment at all. Plug it straight into the computer and away you are going. I think it powers off drivers. If there are any system updates for the microphone, they'll get updated. Literally plug it in like so. I mean, you can if you know which way to put the USB cable in, of course. Man, I can never do that first time. There we go. So that's all plugged in, ready to go. And this is a really, really great microphone. I mean, one common question people ask me as well is, you know, do I want a USB-powered microphone or do I want an XLR microphone? Which, again, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail very shortly. USB microphone, I would say, is a much better option for if you're starting out because, well, it just requires plugging into your computer and that's it, you're ready to broadcast with it. They are very, very good, despite them being arguably cheaper than a lot of XLR microphones. They still are very, very good if you pick reputable brands. I'll be talking through some notable brands here as well as Rode towards the end. But yeah, this is a fantastic little microphone. These go for roughly, I think about £120, I think, so maybe about $150. So that's a really good benchmark to set when you are getting equipment. And USB microphones, really, really good. Plug straight in. You can adjust some levels, plug your headphones in, and that's it. Incredibly simple. So if you are doing simple talk show broadcasting, computer, laptop, USB microphone, you are good to go. That's all you need. Now, if you want to play music live, or you would just like to have arguably a bit more control over your levels and your gain, then you may want to steer away from the USB microphone completely and enter the realm of the XLR microphone. Now, just like the Rode is a USB microphone because of its USB cable, an XLR microphone is named after the XLR cable. Now, this is what an XLR cable looks like. It's got 3 prongs here, and it's got 3 holes on the other side there. And these require a mixing desk, or they require a audio interface to actually work. So that's why it's probably not the most basic option to go for first, because you do need to spend a bit of money and time setting up your equipment. But yeah, these microphones here, this in particular it's my personal favorite mic. It's one I have at home. This is a Shure SM7B, probably considered broadcasting standard. You know, you'll find these in a lot of studios, podcasting studios. Probably one of the most well-known broadcasters do have these. So if you are looking for a microphone like this, it's fantastic, by the way. Depends which feed you listen to. You're either listening to this microphone or this microphone, but I'm sure Jack can behind the scenes can let you hear what I sound like on this microphone here. But yeah, this goes round for about £300 to £400, so maybe $400 to $500 maybe, but it's an incredible investment here. Anyway, that's beside the point. So these microphones are connected via an XLR cable, just like this. And they need to be plugged into a mixing desk or an audio interface in order for them to work, because they need to be connected to your computer. And if you haven't noticed, yeah, you're not going to get connections like this built into your computer. So you need a middleman piece of equipment. such as what I have in front of me here. Now, I'm not too sure whether you will be able to see it or which orientation you'll be able to see it, but what you'll need is a mixing desk. And what a mixing desk does is it allows you to not only plug in your XLR microphones, it allows you to adjust levels, equalize, gain, anything to do with really managing the sound quality of your microphone and ultimately how well your voice is going to sound. You don't get that with USB microphones unless they come with some software. I know Rode have a free piece of software. It's completely escaped me what it's called, but there is a particular piece of software that works exclusively with these NT USB minis, and that works as kind of like a digital mixing desk that you can use instead. Only with these though, mind. But yeah, this in particular, what I've got here is a Rodecaster Pro, and this is a fantastic piece of kit, and it's probably the favorite desk amongst us all in the office, I think. Not only does it work exceptionally well getting your microphones and adjusting everything, it's got a really cool Bluetooth capabilities as well. So if you wanted to get phone calls, all you need to do is simply, you know, connect your mobile phone up to it, my iPhone here, and that's it. I can conduct calls. I just need to fade them up, fade them down, just like that. I can plug in other USB connections there, and also, as you can see, it lights up in lots of really pretty colors, which is always nice if you're in a dark, dank, spooky studio, as the atmosphere rather that we're recording in today. Difference between this sort of desk and others, and I'm going to show you some others in a second. The Rodecaster Pro is an expensive piece of kit, about $500 to $600, maybe £500 or so. But it's because it works as kind of like a mini computer as well. That's why it's probably more of, I guess, more geared towards an advanced user. But if you really want everything to do with recording as well as broadcasting, yeah, you're not going to go wrong with this piece of kit. It's expensive, but it's going to be a very, very worthwhile investment. So here, as you can see, you know, you can adjust your levels, get everything correct. It's also got a computer screen on it as well, so you can adjust like your levels or sort out everything like that. So not everything has to be physical, of course. There's presets you can set. You know, these buttons can be assigned to play and do certain functions. So this is very much an advanced piece of kit, but it can take a lot of the jobs from you that you may need to seek elsewhere, like using other software perhaps. So it may be your best interest to invest in something that gives you everything, like the Rodecaster Pro here. We've actually got a review on it that Jack did on our blog. So if you go to Radio.co, go to blog on our website, type in Rodecaster or even just Rode, you will find it there and see what we think and how we use it. Now, there are other desks you can use. One in particular comes in a very startling size comparison. Here's one that I set aside earlier. We've got this. This is a Behringer Xenyx 802 desk. Now, this one in particular isn't USB powered, which may put you at a slight advantage. So do make sure if you are getting a desk and you want it to be as easy to use as possible, getting one that is USB powered will save you a lot of a headache. Because again, just like how the USB powered microphone works, and indeed how the Rodecaster Pro works, plug it straight in through a USB microphone, through a USB cable, and you're good to go. But as you can see, it's pretty much exactly what the Rodecaster Pro does, except the Rodecaster hides it behind its screen, more digital functions, whereas this is a lot more physical. As you can see, lots of knobs, lots of dials, still lots of inputs for inserting your XLR microphones or the auxiliary cables. Maybe you could plug your mobile phone into one of these and do calls through that way. Probably another one of the most popular questions I get. How can I get callers? Rodecaster Pro, dead easy with its Bluetooth capabilities. Or again, just as easy, get a mobile phone with a 3.5mm jack port in it, which some of the newer phones don't actually have, particularly if you've got an iPhone, so do be warned. Plug in a 3.5mm jack cable into that, fade it up. There we go, you've got a caller on line one. So these sorts of desks, it's a bit small, it's a bit cluttered. Desks come in so many shapes and sizes, but they do ultimately all do the same thing. They are just in different shapes and sizes, as I say. This is probably round about 40 to 50 quid. Again, maybe $50 to $70 or so. Now, if you're looking for something that's a bit more of an advancement of the Rodecaster, and indeed an incredible advancement of what we got here, you could even go high end if you've really got a lot of money to spend and a lot of experience that you want to do. Or maybe you just want to treat yourself. That was a balloon, no one's been hurt. We have this. Now, I'm going to be very, very careful with this because I think it's about $3,000, something like this. This was used an awful lot back in the day when we had our very own radio studio, MCR Live. This is an Axia IQ console. Like I said, this is about $3,000, so it's probably one of the top-end desks you can get. This one has been used and loved tremendously, but again, just in the exact same way. Adjust your levels, adjust your faders, but you can also set them as well, so it does have very much a digital intelligent base to it as well. So these will again give you really rich sound, really control over the levels of each of your DJs. So if you are investing a lot of time and effort building your very own studio, this will be right up your street. Huge investment, but again, strangely, another popular question is, what's that desk and where can I get it from? Yeah, I think these are specially sourced, I believe. So yeah, I think you have to dig for them. But yeah, this is a very, very incredible, impressive console. Just a lot of money. And we also have these. This is, again, probably an incredibly popular piece of kit. You might think, what on earth is this? Well, this is an audio interface, and this is your alternative addition to your equipment. Essentially, it does what a mixing desk does, apart from it doesn't let you, adjust the equalization, necessarily adjust other sorts of levels. It's literally just the ports of the mixing desk built into something that will, well, not clutter your desk like this. This is probably one of the most popular ones, the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. Lets you plug in up to 2 ports, again, just like a small mixing desk, but it's incredibly light, it's incredibly small, and it's pretty nice. It does look pretty sweet in your office space. Now, this can be an option for you if you feel you don't need the ability to change your EQ and your faders and your gain and things like that. If you literally just want to power up an XLR microphone, this will serve you well. In fact, I have one of these. This is what I use to power up mine. I feel like I've got a rich, deep enough voice that doesn't actually need too much tweaking. So the preamps that are built into this do serve my voice very, very well. If you do have a particular, high-pitched voice, or you do want to add a bit of more levels to it, you may want to invest in something like actual microphone preamps or a desk that may allow you to do that. Otherwise, this is really great. This is probably about $100 to $150, maybe a little bit more. But these are really good. They come with software as well to sort of help you work it a little bit better. But it essentially does the exact same thing as a mixing desk. It's just a bit more portable, and it's arguably less unattractive than that Behringer desk. Not knocking that. But there's loads of options basically for different budgets and different tastes. So whether you want a desk that does absolutely everything, a desk that bleeds you dry, or an interface that literally just gets you started, there's so much available, and it doesn't actually have to cost you too much time and effort to set it up. And again, USB powered. Don't get anything that isn't, because it will cause you a lot of distress. I've actually got a question about something that isn't USB powered, so I'll get to that at the end. So just going back to the microphone, so as I say, an XLR microphone, really great. There's a lot more variety. They perhaps give you a bit of a richer sound than you might get off a USB-powered microphone. But there are 2 that you need to be aware of. There are dynamic microphones, just like what we've got here, the Shure SM7B, and there are condenser microphones, just like the Aston Spirit. This is a fantastic microphone, but they do, aside from looking differently, they do slightly different things. What you find with a dynamic microphone, it's more geared towards broadcasters. It focuses on your voice, and it can block out the noises of everything else. It's basically just dynamically focusing on your particular voice. Now, condenser microphones are another fantastic option. They can pick up the nuances all around you, so they may give you arguably perhaps a more natural sounding voice, like if you wanted to capture the sound of your studio and environments that obviously doesn't expose it and make it too tinny. A condenser microphone will again serve you very, very well. a lot of people will choose either, between one of the two. I personally, because of the rich and the bassiness of my voice, find a dynamic microphone to suit me better. But perhaps if my voice was a little higher pitched, not talking squeaky, but I'm just, a little bit more than how deep it is now, a condenser microphone may have served me better in that sense. So just find the sort of microphone that works best for you. This kind of captures everything, but also concentrates on subtleties of your voice, whereas a dynamic microphone is all about you. So it's all about whichever one you want. In terms of how they're powered, this can be something that you'll need to consider. So a condenser microphone works off something called phantom power. Ooh. There we go, kind of like the Phantom of the Opera, but the phantom of your mixing desk. What phantom power does is it's basically an electrical charge that powers your microphone. So it allows it gives it a lot of power, and you can reduce the gain and really find the right settings for your voice. Now, when you've got a dynamic microphone, it doesn't have dynamic phantom power. So what you need to do is you need to increase the gain quite a lot in order to get a really good sound out of it. Now, of course, in doing so, it means, imagine your dial is 1 to 10. You may get to about 9.5, where your dynamic microphone makes your voice sound really, really good. Of course, there's no way to increase the gain aside from half, and there's no room for real growth of the microphone. So using something that takes a lot of that power from you, such as this. So this is a preamp. This in particular is called the FET head, and this is one that, again, I have, so I can personally vouch using this with my Shure SM7B. And what the FET head is it's a preamp that gives a bit more power and a bit more gain to your microphone. So this is actually powered by phantom power. You plug this in, you turn the phantom power on, and it just means your microphone was previously broadcasting at 9.5. It's now broadcasting at maybe about 5. You can turn it up a little bit, get a much better sound. So my advice, if you are getting a really good microphone like a Shure SM7B, spend an extra 60 quid, $80 or so on something like this, like a FET head, or a cloud lifter is probably one of the most popular ones. A bit more expensive. You can fit up to 2 microphones in those, maybe possibly even 4, and they go for about $150 upwards. But this is one I can personally vouch for, and it's a really good preamp. That's kind of like as an advanced user, not essential for getting started, but something I would just tell you about. And then kind of like the last thing really to cover if you are broadcasting with music is, of course, you want to monitor your sound. So for that, you want a really, really good pair of headphones, such as these. These are Beyerdynamic microphones. Again, this is a pair I have at home, not the exact pair, but this is a pair I have at home. So again, I can personally vouch for these. And these are pretty commonplace in studios all over the world. They produce an incredibly nice sound, really cushiony, really comfortable is the most important thing. If you're going to be wearing them for hours on end, you want something that feels good on your head. I can vouch for these. I wear them pretty much all day. So yeah, these are really, really good good headphones, really isolates everything and makes you concentrate and monitor what you're doing. Please do not use Bluetooth headphones because due to the latency between the Bluetooth, you may be able to hear yourself slightly or hear the music maybe a fraction of a second behind. It can be very, very off-putting. You may like it, but it's personally something I don't like to go for. So having a wired microphone gets rid of that. My wired headphones gets rid of that. So yeah, go for a nice pair of headphones. You don't need to go for the top of the range ones, just a decent pair made by a notable brand, as long as you can hear what you sound like in the best sound possible. Okay, so what else can I talk about here? So other things you may see about this microphone here is connected to a strange little doodad here. This is a boom arm. I would say this is essential, not necessarily if you're getting a USB microphone like this, which has its own stand like so, but if you are using something like an XLR microphone and you're like me, you're very handsy, but you want the ability to change your music and things like that, getting a boom arm is a very, very good investment. I mean, the job that it does is very simple. It just holds your microphone for you in a nice, suitable place. I see it as a much better option to perhaps getting a mic stand. This just allows you to adjust it, pull it really, really close to your face like this. Again, similar to a microphone, you want to invest in a decent boom arm or decent mic stand if you are using one. You don't want it to fall apart because you are potentially having it carry a very, very expensive piece of kit. This in particular is, I think it's about 50 quid, $50 or something like that. Again, I have a Rode PSA-1 boom arm for mine, which again does the absolute job, and we've got one called I think it's a Mica Yellow Tech, I think it's called. Someone correct me in the comments. But again, that's a more expensive one, but arguably gives you a lot more control over where it's going. It's probably a bit more stable and reliable. Perhaps a bit more expensive than what you want to spend, but again, I think with all of this equipment, have the willingness to spend more if possible, because you will get a more worthwhile investment. So boom arm, definitely something I highly recommend, just to really take the literal weight off your hands, and yeah, you can just adjust it wherever you see fit. Something else, I've not got it on here because this microphone actually kind of has one already, but something that you should consider having is a pop shield. This in particular is the Aston Swift Shield. Again, Aston, just like the microphone, another very, very good brand. And as it kind of suggests, it is kind of like a mini shield, and it's for your microphone. Now, some of them, they will get more used to the sort of microphone and boom arm that they're using, but it's simply a case of moving it. There we go. And shielding it from my mouth. And the idea is that this pop shield, as well, you can hear it, that might be able to hear it. That's a pop or a plosive. And the idea is if you're speaking, saying a lot of things like playing a lot of pop music, then you want to have a pop shield just to catch a lot of that. It also catches your saliva a little bit as well, particularly where we're living in these COVID times where we want to make sure we're a little bit cleaner. It's probably more of a worthwhile investment these days than it's ever been. But this is just something you can spend a couple of quid, a couple of dollars, or you can get something a bit more premium that's arguably a lot more stable and actually a lot more resistant. Nothing worse than trying to do a show and you've got a shield that's moving up and down and it's really, really pants. So yeah, get something that's a bit more sturdy. Like this is the Aston Swift Shield, very, very good piece of kit. But yeah, you don't need to go mad on something expensive like this. It's just something you should consider, unless your microphone has some pads built in. Even that, you should probably invest in something that really doesn't have to cost a lot, and it will save you a lot of aggro from your listeners and potentially your ears. And that's kind of it for a lot of the equipment that you may want to use. Really, you've got your microphones, your headphones, your desks. It's up to you what you find most useful. Something else you may want to consider, though, is where you're broadcasting. Now, honestly, when you're starting out, it really doesn't... it's a personal preference, but it really shouldn't matter where you're broadcasting from. The magic and the wonders that we bring with Radio.co is it's allowing you to broadcast from anywhere in the world. As long as you've got an internet connection, you can broadcast live. So that means you no longer need to go into a studio space. You no longer have to go in somewhere that's incredibly padded. You can just broadcast from your room, your car, outside even. You really don't need to be too bothered about the four walls that are surrounding you. Particularly if you're investing in a good microphone like this one, and what I like to think it does in my slightly bare-walled office space at home, is that this will focus so much on my voice, it's going to really just project the richness of my voice, and it's not really going to pick up my voice bouncing around the room. So investing in a very, very good microphone can often do you more wonders than you would think. So there's not necessarily a need to pad your walls out with everything that you possibly can if you've got a good microphone that is just concentrating and absorbing your voice in the way that it should. But there are things you can put in place. We've not got them here per se. We've got them in our actual other recording room. But foam tiles. Stick a few of those around your room. You can pick them, you can pick maybe a dozen up for 20, 30 quid or something like that. The trick is not covering in every... That will kill anything. Just scatter them in blocks around your room just to really bounce the sound across. That doesn't have to be an expensive thing to do. You don't need to soundproof your rooms and really spend an awful lot of money really padding out the sound. Just pick a couple of dozen up maybe for 50 quid And there you go. You've got a bit more padding. If you don't want to go there, I don't personally use those, but that is an option. You could just put a couple more soft things in your room. If you're broadcasting from a front room, you've maybe got a soft couch, a couple of other cushions around, throws. I was going to say duvets. I mean, you may be sleeping in your front room. It depends, But, if you're broadcasting from your bedroom, you can have duvets and covers and mattresses. If you've got lots of soft surfaces, your sound's going to bounce around those anyway. So there may not necessarily be a need for using foam tiles if you're broadcasting in a decent room. But again, pick up for them for $20-$30 or so. And then behind me, it's looking a little spooky, so when we finish this, we will clear all the cobwebs off and dim the demonic lights we've got going on in there. But this is actually our own sort of personal recording booth, and these do cost a lot of money. These are specially made, and because a lot of them, like this one in particular, came from overseas, and it's built specially, and all the electrics are put into it. But if you want your very own studio space, if a lot of people are converting sheds and summer houses into studios. Some of them are having them purposely built. That's a good option for you. Something like that, maybe, if I hazard a guess, a few £1,000, maybe like £10,000, something like that it was. But it's an incredibly padded room. We've got about a £3,000 microphone in there. So again, we're doing everything we can to get the best sound possible. But, it's just an option. It's by no means an essential. So just to recap, because there is a lot of information I've shared there and a lot of tangents I've kind of gone off on. But just to recap, for your basic equipment, you really, really don't need a lot to get started. If you're a newcomer to online broadcasting, Radio.co will give you all the software and all the support you need to get started. So once you've got our software, you've actually got the ability to broadcast. As long as you've got a computer and an internet connection, you are good to go. If you want to do some talking, you may want to invest in a USB-powered microphone. This in particular is a great one, the Rode NT USB. We've used lots of Rode microphones in the past. The Blue Yeti is another popular one that people may want to use. Very popular amongst podcasters in particular. But yeah, a USB-powered microphone will allow you to talk, and here you go, you're good. If you want a bit more control over your microphones, then you may want to use a mixing desk, and to plug into that, an XLR microphone. Remember, an XLR microphone requires the use of a mixing desk or an audio interface to work. You will then plug that into your desk or your interface and plug it straight into your computer. That will then adjust all your levels, your maybe some preamps like the Rode has, to some effects you can put on your voice, a bit of processing. Or if you want something just a bit more basic, the likes of these will absolutely do the job. So a audio interface, there's no need to get both. It's either or, audio interface or desk. An audio interface, lightweight, compact, easy on the eye, and does the job. Or if you want something, again, with a bit more options to you, you can get desks of all shapes, all sizes, and all weights. So that's kind of it for desks. Other equipment, as I've said, you've got your headphones, you've got your condenser mics maybe, your pop shields, your boom arms, and any foam tiles. And that's pretty much everything to do with at least getting started. There are other things like microphone processors or racks of preamps, or maybe you want something that you're able to cut off someone swearing. Things like that are available to purchase and use for your broadcasting, but they are absolutely not always essential. I always say the essential is laptop, internet, USB-powered microphone, and you're ready to broadcast on air. So that's it for my demonstration here. I hope it's giving you a good idea on the things that you may want to use yourself. Everyone has a different way of broadcasting. It's all about finding one that's right for you and one that's right for your budget. Honestly, this is going to be an investment of time and money. So make sure you are investing in good kit and investing a lot of time to make your station sound the best it possibly can be. Now, I said before, I have some questions that have been sent in to me beforehand. So I'm going to read these ones out that have been sent before we've gone live. If you have any questions based on anything I've discussed already or something you wanted to ask anyway, please send me an email, studio@radio.co. studio@radio.co, and I will answer as many questions as I possibly can. So first question comes from Roger, and he says, is my internet speed important, and if so, what speed should it be? Good question, of course, because internet is an essential part of your equipment. So on the day-to-day running of your station, if you are primarily broadcasting during automation, you're uploading content and just leaving it to roll, leaving us to power your station for you, then your internet connection doesn't matter. We mentioned that before. But if you are broadcasting live, we always recommend at least an upload speed of 2 megabytes per second. It's a very, very low bar set there, so you should be able to find that sort of internet speed in most places around the world, I would imagine. But yeah, an upload speed of at least 2 megabytes per second will see you broadcasting quite comfortably on air. Of course, you may want to reduce the bit rate, so the strain that's required on your personal connection and the strain that's required for your audience to listen. That can always help with your broadcasting, but at least an upload speed of 2 megabytes per second, and you should be absolutely fine. When you're not broadcasting live, it doesn't matter because we're powering everything for you. So that should have answered your question, Roger. Thank you very much for asking it. Marianne has asked, what does Radio.co offer if you don't provide equipment? Again, a very popular question I get. A lot of people come to us for advice about equipment, and although we don't sell it, we can, like what we've done here, push you in the right direction to getting it. But what we do offer, as I mentioned, is all the software that you need to broadcast live. So, if you want the ability to schedule shows and broadcast live and have a mobile app where people can download and listen to your station from anywhere in the world, that's what we provide. We provide all the inside of your computer to manage your station. Everything to do with, well, pretty much everything you can expect to do and to hear from a typical radio station is available within Radio.co. So although we don't provide the equipment, we give you absolutely everything else. All the essential software and support from us, of course, to easily begin broadcasting. So there really is no excuse for not at least giving it a go, especially seeing how very little you need to actually get started. So thank you very much for that, Marianne. Oren has got in touch. What's a good budget for buying microphones? Because I'm just starting out. Very, very good question, Oren. I may have said it already. I'm not too sure. I did give you prices for cost of these mics, but my benchmark for microphones is you should look at spending at least £100, $100 or so on a microphone. You can get cheap microphones. I mean, for example, we have a microphone called I forget the specific number, but the brand is called the Fifine, and you can get that for about $30. And you know what? It's not bad. It's not a bad microphone, but again, on the flip side of that, it's not great. It's a USB-powered microphone. It does the job, but it's not necessarily going to really complement and bring out the best of your voice. So I would say always spend at least £100 or $100 on a good quality microphone. If you invest a lot up front, it's going to make you sound great. It doesn't matter if your shows, your content, your personality is amazing if you sound awful on the radio. So yeah, spend at least, or at least look at spending at least £100, $100. The most popular makes, things like Rode, Shure do a couple of different off branches of this. You're looking at about $100 or so to start with. So that's always a good benchmark. Consider getting things cheaper, particularly if it's on sale, but if it's full price, that's your benchmark, I would say. Molly, is there such thing as a digital mixing desk? Because my studio space is very small. Yes, there is. I mentioned it before, and silly me, I can't remember the name of the one that Rode have made. Rode Connect, that's it. Thank you, Jack. It's good. We've got a genius behind the camera. Rode Connect. So that is it's a shame we're doing this live. I'll cut it to make it seem like I remembered it. But yeah, the Rode Connect is a great platform. It's only to be used with the Rode NT USB, so there is a bit of a caveat to using it. I believe it's free, but you have to use these microphones, and it's pretty much the Rodecaster Pro just on your computer instead. You can assign audio inputs to it, you can adjust any levels, and of course broadcast through it. So it's definitely something worth considering if you don't want to splash out on a £500 desk, but you would like the functionality of it. Instead, splash out one of these microphones, maybe a couple if you're building a little studio, and yeah, use Rode Connect to do that. So that's kind of more like a digital mixing desk. But alternatively, something else that we do recommend a lot, in particular I recommend a lot for people who are looking to broadcast music, is using something like Virtual DJ or Serato or Tractor. They're just three that we tend to recommend because we happen to have help guides on all of them. But what are they? What they are is they are DJ softwares, DJ interfaces. And, typically, these are ways of people using it to broadcast DJ mixes, but you can use them to funnel directly into your Radio.co station. And with these DJ interfaces, what you can do, you can fire up tracks, you can fade them out, you can speak in between, of course, if you've got a microphone, you can mix the drops and everything. It's pretty much the combination of a mixing desk with the functionality of adjusting your levels, with also the capabilities of a DJ deck, just in digital form. Things like Virtual DJ, I believe, is probably one of the more user-friendly ones. It's the one that we tend to steer people towards. It may not be for you, of course, but there is a free version before you commit to paying for it. But that's something definitely worth looking into if you want to use something a little bit different that doesn't require you to plug a music source, because that's the most important thing when using something like a desk. You need to make sure you've got an audio source into this. If you're using Rodecaster, it's got its Bluetooth capabilities, you've got stuff on your phone. If not, you want to plug something into it, maybe plug another device like a tablet or plug in a CD player into it. With something like a DJ interface, there's no need for that. Load your tracks that are saved onto your computer and broadcast through that. So, so I hope that's helped Molly. A couple of different ideas for digital desks that isn't always a necessity to get something that is physical. But of course, if you're a bit more old school like me, physical is good. I have a set of DJ decks that I want to broadcast from. Is it possible to connect them up for broadcasting through Radio.co? And that's from Dennis. Kind of nicely aligned, sort of following on from that previous question, something I teased before about talking about. So, DJ decks. If you're buying brand new ones, a lot of them, I guess, are more digital geared, but they also have USB functionality. So you can plug a brand new DJ deck, into your computer and use it in the exact same way you would use a piece of kit like this. Now, a lot of old school broadcasts that are using, playing a lot of their vinyls, and they've maybe got more of an analog record player, you are absolutely still okay to use those. Don't worry, you can use the equipment you've got. There's no real need to buy a brand new one, but you will still need to find a way of connecting that more analog piece of equipment into your computer, and it's that middleman piece of equipment that you do need, and something like that would be perfect for the Focusrite, the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, or the one I have as well, because I have two. I have this, and I have a Behringer Euphoria UMC 202 HD. Of course, nice catchy title. But yeah, it's pretty much an audio interface, and you would plug your DJ decks into one of the line ins at the back, or if you have XLR capabilities, you'd plug it in the front, and you'd then take that USB port out of here and plug it straight into your computer. And there we go, and that's a way of plugging in your more old kit into your computer. It does, of course, require splashing out on an audio interface. Again, don't need to break the bank. Behringer, just like those desks, they do a great range of really budget-friendly desks, range from different sizes, different functionalities. You can get a Behringer audio interface for about 30 quid, $50 or so. If you want something a bit more premium, this will set you back a little bit more. But you plug that into this, plug this USB interface into your computer, and away you go. You'd broadcast in the exact same way. It's just you needed a bridge to connect the two. So yes, Dennis. So you can use your old school DJ decks if they are not digital or don't have USB powered capabilities. Plug them straight into your computer, and you can use them for broadcasting live with Radio.co. And then the final question is from Dinar. I've kind of answered this already a little bit, but I'll go through a few more examples. Final question to ask on: what's the most notable brands of equipment? Which ones are best? So you can see we seem to be fond of a few particular ones. In particular, I'm very fond of Rode. I've used and owned a number of Rode products in the past. The Rode NT USB was released, I believe, early last year. I think maybe the start of last year, before everything collapsed. So the Rode NT USB, very, very good. It's probably their staple go-to microphone these days. Rode, of course, as well, do the Rodecaster Pro. They also do the Rode Podcaster, the Rode Procaster, to get the two mixed up. They do lots of really, really great equipment for lots of different budgets. The Rode Pod mic as well is another budget-friendly XLR microphone. It's about $100 or so. But Rode, I'd probably say, is my favorite brand. I feel like they offer products for lots of different budgets, and they are all executed very, very well. Having owned a few of them, I can vouch. I mentioned before, the Blue Yeti is probably one of the most popular podcasting microphones or streaming microphones that people use for many, many years. That's a good, notable brand to use, I'd say. Shure, of course, they do this expensive microphone as well, but they've also released, if I remember rightly, something like the Shure SMV7. I can write on that, Jack? It's something like that. MV was something like that. I should have looked it up beforehand. But yeah, so that's powered by XLR and USB, and that's slightly cheaper than the SM7B. So there are lots of different ranges that Shure do. They also do just regular handheld microphones. I use that for my co-hosts on my podcast. Just handheld microphones that you might find people performing with at a gig. Fire them up with a couple of music stands and microphone stands. We're good to go. So Shure, Rode, Blue, Aston, it's fantastic. It's a British company. They make some fantastic, really good high-end microphones. They have the Aston Spirit, Aston Origin, and the Aston Stealth. They potentially release some more within that time, but they're three that we in particular have reviewed. So I'd say they're my favorite, and also Behringer as well. That they do have a lot of budget-friendly options, and their desks work. They may not be the most attractive desks, but they work very, very well. Again, with microphones, may not be the most portable and attractive looking microphones, but they absolutely do the job, and they are a fraction of the price, and they're the leading ones. So yeah, I'd say Behringer you're pretty safe with, Rode very comfortable, Shure, Aston, Blue, and if you want an audio interface, yeah, something like Focusrite seems to be most popular for a reason. Well, there we go. I've talked for an awful long time. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed it and you've got a really good idea on exactly what's involved in starting up your own online radio station, and most importantly, the equipment that you need to have alongside it. Again, just to recap, you really, really don't need an awful lot at all. Microphone, a USB microphone if you want, but ultimately an average powered computer and an internet connection, you are good to broadcast from anywhere in the world, from, well, all over the world with Radio.co. As I said, if you have any questions that I haven't answered for you, I do apologise, but please send me an email via studio@radio.co, and I'll answer any questions you have about launching your online radio station, or just a bit more advice on any equipment. We may be a software company that sells you all the abilities to launch your station, but at the end of the day, we just want to help people broadcast in whichever way they possibly can. So any advice and questions I can answer, please send them over to me. And it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I guess happy broadcasting and happy Halloween!
Starting a radio station has never been easier, so launch yours the right way with our free hands-on guide at radio.co/broadcast. Discover essential tips from choosing the best microphone to setting up the right software for your setup, plus loads more. So what are you waiting for? Start your radio station today at radio.co/broadcast.